Welcome to Math Tree. On this channel, we make videos on mathematics and science to help students all over the world. In this tutorial, we will be talking about how to derive the quadratic formula from a given quadratic equation. The given quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And then the quadratic formula is minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Now let's jump into it. The first step is to divide each term in the equation by a. Ax squared divided by a plus bx divided by a plus c divided by a equals 0 divided by a is still 0, so we write 0 over here. So a will cancel a, leaving x squared plus b over a x. We move c over a to the right hand side of the equation, so that is equals, it is positive here. When we move it to the other side of the equation, it becomes negative, so minus c over a. The next step is to pick the coefficient of x, which is b over a. So b over a, you multiply it by 1/2, and then b over 2a times 1 over 2 is b over 2a. b over a times 1 over 2 is b over 2a. And then you square this one. So you square everything. That is the square of this one. And then the square of this equals b squared over 4a squared. The next step is to pick b over 2a all square, add it to the right hand side of the equation, and then to the left hand side of the equation. So you add it to the right hand side and then to the left hand side of the equation. From here we have x squared plus b over ax plus b over 2a all square equals b over 2a all square minus c over a, c over a. Now the next step is to factorize this trinomial, and the easiest way to factorize this trinomial is to group the terms with square in the bracket, and then you raise everything to the second power. That is x plus b over 2a all square equals b squared, b to the power, b raised to the power 2 is what? B squared, and then 2a to the power 2 is 4a squared minus c over a. The next step is to simplify these fractions to be a single fraction. So that is x plus b over 2a all square equals b squared over 4a squared minus c over a. So in order to simplify these two fractions to be a single fraction, we need to find the LCM. And then the LCM of 4a squared and a squared is 4a. So the next step is to multiply this term, which is minus c over a, by the LCM. So you multiply minus c over a by the LCM, which is 4a. So we have x plus b over 2a in brackets all square equals b square over 4a square minus 4a times c is 4ac divided by 4a times a is 4a square. We have two fractions with a common denominator. We can subtract the numerators and then divide everything by the denominator. So x plus b over 2a square equals b square minus 4ac. So over here we have b squared divided by 4a squared, meaning we have two fractions with a common denominator. We subtract the numerators and then divide it by the denominator. So we have 4a squared. The next step is to do away with the terms attached to x. We want x to stand alone, so we need to introduce the square root sign. And whenever you introduce a square root sign, you attach plus or minus to the sign. So square root this term, and then we square root the other term too, but we must attach plus or minus over here. So the square would do away with the square root, leaving x plus b over 2a equals plus or minus. We can simplify the denominator, leaving the numerator. So we have the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by the square root of 4 is 2, and then the square root of a squared is a. So we have the square root of 4a squared to be 2a. Now the next step, we want to do away with the term attached to x, meaning we want x to stand alone. That is, we will move this one to the right hand side of the equation. We now have x equals, it is positive here, when we move it to the other side it becomes negative, minus b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. So the next step is we have two fractions with a common denominator, 2a, and then the sign is plus or minus, so we can add or subtract. From here we say x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And this is the quadratic formula. If you find value in my video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the like button, and watch out for my next tutorial.